Hello everybody, my name is Stefanon and welcome to Bedtime Stories. Bedtime Stories part 5 to be exact. In part 4 we just had this weird encounter with this guy called Coral and we said goodbye to Eligern. Well, but we are on our quest to find out more about where we come from, who we are, and what is going to be our destiny. Let's take a little look at the menu. So we have a party inventory, which is this, and I might, just to save some time, I might look at this while I'm not recording. Also here we have the ciphers, we have the character sheets, and we have the journal. Unfortunately we said bye to Eligern. That's very unfortunate actually. I liked the guy, but this one I liked a little bit more, interestingly enough. Just to give you a heads up, the game will not be the same when you play it, so I highly encourage you to pick this game up. So far it has impressed me a lot, and it's very different from the character you choose. I did an experiment actually, and I just want to briefly tell you about this. I did an experiment where I haven't played a lot, but I didn't come this far. So I played maybe part 1 and 2 of my playthrough again with an intelligent nano. And he was so intelligent he could read people's minds, and someone in conversations there would be an orange sentence that is just what the character you're talking to is thinking. And the interesting thing about that is my character is very good in perception, in perceiving his environment, so I get to see things that he perceives better than others, while the intelligent nano may be able to read people's minds and you might get a bigger insight on the people. I haven't seen fully into Calistige or Eligern's thoughts, but some thoughts suggested that Eligern was, let's say, he was thinking, is he the god? He wasn't trusting me. He didn't trust me in saying whether or not I'm a god or not. So he wants to find that out. And Calistige was more the person that says, well, this kid is interesting. What can we find? What can I see with this guy around? And I need to keep him alive for that. So he shows me a lot of cool stuff. So that's that. We have an area map and we had a pause menu. Let's see the current area map. Okay, that's interesting. Wow, what a mess! I mean, look at this. There is stuff under the water. There's stuff here. There's an obelisk there. There's a dirt thrower kind of thing. It's amazing what kind of things everywhere is. And the last cast stuff doesn't even have a name. Huh. Okay, so we have picked up everything. I'm just gonna quickly check what I have. We have Encephalic Rush, which heals intellect. That could be of use now. Just gonna use this on myself, if possible. Yep. That way I get a little intellect. Fleetfoot Mars, which heals speed. I think 4 speed is enough. This heals might. So we have a intellect, speed, and might healer. We have some sort of oddity. We have a spray flash that heals. We have a light ranged weapon, which is interesting. I might give that to her. Another oddity. It's an armband. A great sword, which I found very interesting. This does 2 physical damage, and if I put maximum is 9 damage that I can put in, so 3 effort, that means I couldn't do 9 damage. This does 8, and I can maximum plus 2. It's a heavy melee weapon. I probably have a, heavy weapons inability. I get a minus 50% penalty on this one. No, it doesn't say. No, it doesn't say. And a crossbow with 5 physical damage, also maximum of 11. It's a speed weapon. I'm not bad with speed though. I'm not bad with medium range weapons either. I might as well just take this instead of a melee weapon. Should I? Yeah, let's take that then. That's interesting. So the journal with all the quests, there's only one. Find a way to repair the resonance chamber. Okay. So far so good. Part 5. We have been talking for 4 minutes and I'm not getting anywhere. This is lore heavy playthrough. If you're looking for something that's quick and dirty, don't check this out. I want to experience the thing as we go. And you can always ask me something about the Numenera, about the rulebook. I have, in fact, the rulebook to Numenera right in front of me. If you have any questions, leave a comment and let me know. We seek the Order of Truth, so we must first reach Government Square. The easiest way is via the staircase by the old clock. Okay, hasn't anyone killed him yet? Mercenaries, spectators, Tibur. So there are... What we see here is... We hear people. We see some sort of aqueduct. We can...
Yes.
Look at this rock I found. Jerem. Okay, there are many people with names, and people with names mean we can actually ask them. What do we need? Yeah, tell me about Quoro, please. He was, she pauses, cocking her head to the side. It's all mixed up. You understand. In this reality, well, I would say he was a friend, though not a close one. She fixes her sharp gaze on you. Don't mourn to the wound you caused me, child. I do not mourn my compatriots. What's done is done, and we can no more change the past than we can predict the future. Her smile is small, brief, and bitter. Not that it will ever stop us from trying, I suppose. So... I forgot what you wanted to tell me. Okay, Order of Truth. I hope we will go there soon, she says, waving her hand in the Order's general direction. I have some papers to collect, and it would do well for you to meet my colleagues. Adventurers and deep thinkers all. Unlike some, though Aligern is of course a dear example of why we continue to strive as ardently as we do. What's your story? Oh, you know, this and that. Lady raised in high society becomes renowned intellectual, goes on to humiliate her peers, etc. She glances at you, as if gauging your interest. Of course, I'm exceptional, but my story is less so. I would bore you to tears, no doubt. What is it you hope to accomplish by traveling with me? So direct. I shan't be coy either, then. Your sire, the changing god, was a nana of surpassing ability. Your search for answers is likely to cross his trail at multiple points. He must have researched the datasphere at some point, and I hope to study his work to address my own particular situation. She waves her hands and grunts her body. I am what you might imprecisely call a nascent, cross-dimensional hive mind. What I must decide now is whether to continue this experiment. My sisters, you see, they are a blessing and a curse. One moment, she addresses them. Hush, you know it's true. I thought it. And therefore you thought it. We have no secrets from one another. She smiles thinly. You see, even in my thoughts we're not alone. We seek, let us call it closure of some sort. Of our association or of our individuality. Uncovering our sire's knowledge of the datasphere could likely determine my direction. If we cannot find a suitable home in the datasphere, we may have to terminate this process, but that presents pitfalls of its own. That is actually something you can achieve as well. I believe you can play a game where you play a cross-dimensional character. So, what can you tell me about the datasphere? She smiles gently. Such curiosity. Very well, let me indulge you. She clears her throat. Some prior world, all worlds, seeded the atmosphere, and near space, and near space with vast network of computational informational devices. I believe the ancients used this network to communicate with each other at great distances and perhaps across space and through dimensions. It is the latter application that especially interests me, as you might imagine. If I can find a structure within that space that enables a more direct mind-to-mind communication that will allow a true joining with my sisters, well, I should be happy to transcend this flesh, though it has served me well. But is such thing possible, or even advisable? These are questions I have not found answers to yet, if such answers even exist. Who are these echoes of you? They are me. We are part of each other, sisters across infinite realities. We share our experiences and power. What's that old saying? That experience brings wisdom? I must be wisest person in Saga's cliffs, the wisest across countless worlds. Her laughter peals out. How did you meet Aligarn? I suppose there is no harm indulging you. She muses. You've shown yourself competent in many endeavors, and this should be no different. She arranges one sleeve diffidently. Aligarn and I met when he came to the Order of Truth, seeking help. Naturally, I was intrigued by his predicament, more so than the man. She smiles, but absently. He had lost his family, you see, and sought their return. He had brought with him an odd frame of unknown origin that was central to his tale. The stuffed sure that the Order was more interested in picking apart Elegant's story than they were in exhumating the frame he had brought with him. The task fell to me, so I undertook it, and for that, Aligarn became enchanted with me. Eventually, we became lovers. He was pleasant enough in bed, I suppose, though he lacked any real enthusiasm. And the crying. She rolls her eyes and eyes arm thrown dramatically across her forehead. This pitiful, childlike snuffling when he thought I was asleep. She shakes her head in disbelief. His family was gone. There was no more he could tell me, and I had learned nothing worth telling him. You saw the end. I've moved on. Huh. Why were you and Elegant together if your relationship was so poor? Guilt, she says. For him, at least. He desperately wanted to save someone. For me, it was a matter of necessity. She sighs and shakes her head. It was my own research that led me to this state, but despite access to 1,000 worlds, I was no closer to achieving my goal, and my sisters were even closer to plotting my annihilation. She laughs. You see, in an effort to extend my own life, I chanced upon versions of myself that would end it. It's true, some of my echoes seek to become the sole survivors, or to rule over the rest. And so I thought a way to return to my base state, if you will, a way to control my future. Seems like all of these states are present in a different world as well, and experience the same thing she does, and they're all trying to gain control of the whole thing. I had found some notes of your sire's, notes that hinted at a machine capable of merging multiple selves, of concatenating various minds into a single identity. Naturally, it seemed the welcome solution for my predicament, but his clues as to its location were useless to the utmost degree. She frowns. Aligarn had met the man once. It was more than I had to go on, and I was feeling less than patient. She wears a hint warily. From there, you know the rest. Did you say some of your other selves want to kill you? Why? She's silent for several long moments, and I'm gonna take a drink. I don't know, she admits. I've tried to reason with them, but they're all beyond it, or at least immune to it. They blame me for opening all our minds to each other, but had it not been me, another version of me would have. She laughs. In fact, it was a host of me that did. I am not alone in this. Across countless realities, we came together simultaneously. She closes her eyes briefly. I wonder sometimes, she looks at you as if searching for an answer. Would it have been better to be one of the other Calisthedes, to have no choice in the matter but to be connected with my prior knowledge or consent? Without my prior knowledge and consent? To have my memories, my secrets, bared in 1,000 other realities, knowing they could never be used against me, but aware at the same time that they were known. She passes a wary hand in front of her eyes. So I understand those of myself who reject this change. I do. I no more choose to share myself with them than they choose to share with me. But that doesn't mean I long for their destruction, nor truly think it would have any great impact on my life here, and that is where we differ. The one point on which perhaps we shall always disagree. Fortunately, a great many others see the matter from my perspective. Interesting. We need to continue on. Okay, should we talk to someone else here in the thing? Love to see what the ruckus here is about. Let's ask this guy. He stands at the here. Tibir. So the person we have just asked is Tibir, and Tibir, it works like this. Pacing the edges of the crowd is a paunchy old soldier with a swaggering stride. At the moment, however, his jauntiness seems overshadowed by worry, and he alternates between watching the execution and searching the crowd as if looking for a miracle. Then his eyes light on you. Oh, there was an execution, see? On the top there, they're trying to... Oh yeah, they're doing something with him, man. They're tying it up.
Like someone who believes in justice. How'd you like to help a poor soul wrongfully condemned?
What kind of help do you need? I don't need anything, but my friend there on the platform is dying. The nightmares his executioners have induced in him spill from him with every word he speaks, and wrap around him like a snake. He glances at the execution. I know there are but a few strands around him now, but in a few days' time they'll choke the life out of him. I cannot imagine a more horrible way to die. He pauses. Well, that's not true. I have an imagination that would shame a sailor. Sorry for that. He leans in. You'll need to be swift and willing to hold justice above law, but there is a way to save him if you will hear me out. Are we interested in this? Well, we're certainly new in this world. It couldn't hurt to listen to people and fan our ropes, even though we want to go to the order of truth, right? Why is your friend being executed? A misunderstanding, he says, waving a dismissive hand. Riss and I were hired to deliver some expensive brandy to an out-of-town buyer. He breathed a sigh weighted with disgusting regret. Would you believe that the bottles were stuffed with state secrets? Riss was accused of selling information to the enemies of Saga's cliffs. They called him a traitor. It was travesty, he growls, his eyes blazing with righteous fury. The poor lad had no idea what was in there. But you did, right? Well, he says, studying the air over your shoulder. There's a place for talking about what I know and what I don't. This isn't that place. He clears his throat. Interesting, so he would knew about this. Okay. If you were part of the scheme, why aren't you up there with him? Luck, he says, shrugging. I was taking a piss when they came for him. Went through the back window and scampered up to the roof. He shakes his head. I watched the poor Riz being led away from my hiding spot. Swore I'd get him free. I hope it's a promise I can keep. Are you mad? Tobias sputters. I asked if I want to talk with his friend. It's an execution. He's surrounded by Levies. Levies? They won't let you near him, and even if they did, He's out of his head. You'll get nothing but gibberish from him. I still want to try. Tibio holds up his hands. As you wish. Just don't say I didn't warn you. The levies are not to be trifled with. And who are you, by the way? Captain Lenchin Tibio, retired, he says with a little bow. Extremely retired. Once a soldier of fortune, now it's plaything. He takes another look at Riz. But my story can wait. Saving Riz's life comes first. Well, I'm not really convinced of this unmoved woman, horrified man. So normally when you... that's a levy, that's a levy. Yin, the overseer, death of Riz. Interesting. What is that? That looks like a golem that is wrapping this around him. Okay. Normally when you try to talk with someone who doesn't have a name, there's normally no dialogue. So let's try it. Huh, okay. There is one horrified man. This man stares at the execution in utter horror. He cannot look away. No crime deserves such a punishment. How can this be allowed? What exactly is happening here? A walking nightmare, though they call it an execution. He shudders. The unfortunate victim is put into a trance that forces him to speak his nightmares. His words spill out of him as a rope of flesh, which is wrapped around his body until it crushes him to death. That sounds really awful. He shakes his head, and the indignity doesn't end when the poor wretch finally dies, for then the devourer of wrongs eats his flesh. Why is everybody watching this? They're animals. They find pleasure in cruelty. Okay. So he's basically... yeah. Okay. Let's talk to the Yin. A stout, middle-aged man stands atop the execution platform. He wears the badge of a city official, and a fringe of dreadlocks hangs down his shoulders from his otherwise bald pate. He gives you a disinterested look as you approach. Please stay back with the others. What's going on here? He casts a brief glance over his shoulder toward Riz. The prisoner, Riz of Flatwater, is being publicly executed as a warning to all who would flout the laws of Sargos Cliffs. What is Riz's crime? Treason. He sold state secrets to the enemies of Sargos Cliffs. How does the execution work? He sighs. Another rustic. It is very simple, sire. Our nanos induce him in a hallucinogenic state. In this state he experiences visions, nightmares, really. He speaks of the things he sees, and his words become flesh as they leave his mouth. We shape the flesh into a human-like form. The death you see behind him. He gestures toward the hideous figure which looks to be made of rotten viscera. As more strands escape his mouth, his death wraps them around him, and they slowly crush the life out of him. That is really awful. Jesus. Really awful. Once the condemned is dead, the devourer of wrongs will eat his corpse. Ah, a cannibal. He raises his chin proud. Thus is justice upheld in Sargos Cliffs. Okay. What do his words mean? He shrugs. Some believe there is wisdom to be gained from the rentings of the condemned. I have never gleaned any. Others say that the torment of the condemned means nothing, but it deters would-be criminals from committing offenses of their own. I have never noticed that to be true either. Why does the devourer of wrongs eat executed criminals? He smiles grim. He is of the Dendro Duhur, who can suck the memories out of the dead with a marrow. And those memories, it's not only the proof that the condemned were guilty, but also the names of their compatriots and other associates. Many an accomplice has been found out in the belly of the devourer. Oh, that's probably why that other guy wants to save him, so when he's eaten, he doesn't get found out. Let me ask you something else. Very well. This man, large and broad-shouldered, and his steel armor is painted in the silver and indigo colors of Sargos cliffs. He seems to be an ordinary soldier or constable of the city. Too ordinary, perhaps. As you scan his face, you see that his features are plain, forgettable, almost generic. Not only that, his eyes are a little too large, his smile too firmly fixed upon his face. Are you with the city watch? The soldier peers at you, smile never leaving his face. You must be a stranger to the city, perhaps from one of the autochthonous tribes along the frontier. Allow me to welcome you in Sargos Cliffs, visitor. He speaks the final word like a title, almost like an honorific. I am a levy. You may rely upon me, and others like me, for protection and assistance, at the discretion of the council and the slave families. I'd like to go up on the platform. I'm privileged to inform you that you cannot. The levy manages to make it sound like a piece of excellent news. If you wish to discuss the matter further, please direct your inquiry to the official in charge. He points to the indigo-clad man on the projecting edge of the dais. Let's examine him carefully. If you saw the face of this man on the streets of a city, you wouldn't glance at him twice. His features are utterly ordinary and forgettable, not too ugly, not too handsome. It is, indeed, almost like he is an average of many thousands of men, their idiosyncrasies and imperfections merged into a bland middle ground. The exceptions, of course, are the eyes, which are just a bit too large for the face, and the fixed, ever-present smile. Taken together, the man's feature gives you a vague sense of unease. Perception. But wait, you do notice something unusual. Pinned to this levy's helmet is a tiny green branch with minuscule leaves. You might have assumed it was a twig that was blown there by the wind, but your sharp eyes catch a bit of twine that fastens it to the levy's helm. Why did you tie that little branch to your helmet? His eyes flick up, then back to you. It is a reminder of the year that gave me life. It belonged to an old woman. He runs a hand over the twig. A little tree, the old woman's favorite little tree that she raised from a seed. No, would have raised. She wanted to become a citizen, but she had only 1 year left to give. The little tree was never born. At the same moment, both you and the levy seem to notice that his smile is gone, and it instantly returns to his lips. Let's examine him again. Nothing changing. What about... Call yourself a levy. Every citizen is required to raise a levy for the protection of the city. In times of war or strife, citizens are sometimes called upon to raise additional levies, but this has not been required since the Dread Destroyer crossed the northern frontier 34 years ago. Levies are raised by citizens? Yes, a year of life is taken from a citizen. The last year is used to create a levy. He pauses ever so briefly, though his smile remains fixed in place. That is why our lifespans are precisely 1 year long. When our spawns are up, we degrade into our component matter. Oh, interesting. If you're curious about the process, I have been instructed to direct you to the Order of Truth, where you may observe the machine that is our parent. How much time do you have left before you degrade into your component matter? 4 months, 7 days. Okay. That's sad. It's really sad. Who are the council and the slave families? Do they govern the city? Indeed so. Each slave family sends one representative, usually the head of the family, to sit on the council. We are required to follow their commands. So you really serve the council, not the people of the city. A brief pause. Yes, that is correct. What's happening here? It's an execution for treason. The condemned man was found guilty of selling state secrets to a foreign power. Okay, so he's not gonna let me in. But maybe I have better chances now So let's ask him again. Who are you? No. Nah, let me ask you something else. I can't. Can I try going up there? No, I can't. Alright. So there's no coming further, I'm sorry, man. I do not know how to get you out of this. Maybe I can ask someone from down here, but we'll see in the next episode, I guess. We'll explore a little more. I mean, this one life, what does one life matter, really? That's the question that this game asks. So, what does it matter? It's a little cruel. Dead by his own words. My name has been Sylphalon. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you have any questions about Numenera, the world of Numenera, let me know. And see you next time. Goodbye.